We will have Jeremy Friesen, I think I'm pronouncing that right, the president of Canada America, who's traveled to be with us here today. I know he was the first one in the room this morning, so we appreciate you, your enthusiasm and being with us. And if you just introduce yourself and then go ahead and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you. Jeremy Friesen. I'm a resident of Cheyenne, so I traveled a little bit. And president, as you said, president of Canada America and chief commercial officer of Canada Clean Power and Climate Technologies. Canada is a decarbonization development and asset management company platform. We are co-founded and funded by First Nations. Well, the Canada has been technically formed in 2020. A lot of the core group has been together since 2014, doing clean energy development with co-development with Aboriginal and Native groups. First of all, I'd like to thank co-chair Senator Ellis, co-chair Representative Oakley. A pleasure to be here. It was actually early this year, in February 8th, that I had the honor to speak to the Intertribal Council about this early stage idea. We were submitting a proposal to the Department of Energy on a proposal to develop a roadmap to a sustainable carbon hub, and part of that was a community outreach. And we thought this is a great opportunity to see if we could develop a program around carbon capture, storage, and utilization training for tribal. And the first people we talked to was the community, and we got support from the Intertribal Council. We talked with the Wind River Tribal College, as well as Taro and others in the community. Canada believes that it is important to speak often and early to tribal leaders when we're talking about opportunities that affect the tribal community. We have in Canada has two projects that we're sponsoring in Wyoming right now. One is the Camera Decarbonization Works, which is a coal to low carbon intensity ammonia project in Lincoln County. The other is Wyoming Trails Carbon Hub, which is a open access CO2 pipeline that should stretch from Camera to Casper. In both cases, we approached the tribal leaders about their potential involvement, either as co-developers or however they would like to be involved. At a minimum, we hope that these projects, if successful, bring really good jobs to the community, opportunities to learn and develop skills that can help the local community develop their own resources, build capacity. Wind River and Wyoming in general have great resources, as you know, two of which are hydrocarbons and also the geology for carbon sequestration. CCUS is, or carbon capture, utilization, and storage, is a technology and an infrastructure that can do two important things for this community. One, it can sustain the development of traditional oil and gas and even coal production, but also it can create new opportunities of hydrogen and ammonia, such as our mega project in Kemmerer, but also things like direct air capture. I think importantly, the heavy industries, and I think we need heavy industries for our civilization. But as we push to decarbonize heavy industries, they're going to have to either be sustained or relocated to areas that have carbon storage, either through pipeline or direct injection. As I said, the geology here and the resources suggest that Wyoming and Wind River could really benefit as a place to have these new industries, either located or sustained or grow. However, I think what in the near term will limit this opportunity is skilled labor force, local skilled labor force. So to that effect, we, along with our partners in Project Watch, which is the Wyoming Trails Carbon Hub, we petitioned and proposed to the Department of Energy that a tribal training program could be a real example for communities across the country, but really an important milestone for tribal relations. We proposed this several months ago, and we have now received 2 different awards from the DOE for that project launch. So that's the good news. We even before gaining that award, we've worked hard to try to understand the community, and as we heard today, there's local priorities and issues that you only learn by working with local communities. So we've been approaching, and we've got great support from local governments, from companies that are operating in the state, from tribal organizations. We're looking right now at working with REX, which is a research experience in carbon sequestration. This is an organization funded by the DOE. They're interested in supporting us with training and mentorship programs, possible using of the University of Wyoming's new online CCUS certificate program, working with Idaho National Labs successful K-12 STEM program, and also, and I think more importantly, working with companies that are looking to do projects in Wyoming on guest lecturing and internship programs. Right now, we are looking at doing a survey, and we're engaging with companies that are doing CCUS on what jobs are they looking to hire in the next 5 to 10 years, when are those jobs, and what are the prerequisites for those jobs. I think importantly, having that information, we can come back to the local community in Wind River, and we can explain what this opportunity really looks like to get really their informed consent and collaboration, and what a good training program would be to be successful. As I mentioned, the Department of Energy has awarded our program. In fact, they just announced it this week. So we're still early days, even though we've done a lot of work to understand the lay of the land. We will start to engage with the DOE on what this actually looks like, and then coming back and trying to understand what the community really needs. Just to give you some perspective, the Project Watch partners are expected to contribute $300,000 in direct funding and up to $500,000 in total, including indirect funding. As well, through this outreach, we've been talking to companies that have given us conditional commitments to support us with even more funding. That's either through their own labor or direct cash. One thing that I would suggest to this committee is potentially how could Wyoming further support this? Now, this is a pilot project. We want it to be successful, but we also want it to be a permanent feature in the Wind River. And so we'd love to work with this committee to understand what Wyoming could do as a state to support the work that we've been bringing together of other companies, as well as the Project Watch group. In conclusion, we see this goal as really showing the value of a on the reservation training program like this. We think this is an amazing opportunity. CCUS is some of the technology is very old, but the industry is very new given some of the policy changes. And this is a perfect time, given the geology, given the resources, for Wind River, for this community to really get ahead of the game and could become leaders in this space. But that will take some training, and that'll take cooperation between industry leaders and the community to understand the space and understand what needs to happen to really bridge the gap between what the community knows and what the companies need to hire, and how we can really meet the people where they are geographically and academically to match that. So I want to thank you for your time, and happy to take your questions, happy to be involved, and as we move forward in both in the training of on the reservation, but also in CCUS development in Wyoming.
Wow, thank you, President Friesen. You mentioned $300,000 in direct funding, up to $500,000 including indirect. And my understanding that specifically is for educational and workforce training here.
Correct. Yeah. So we were awarded as far as a larger project that would deliver a work product that gives us an example of the techno-economic analysis and community outreach of how do you actually deliver a commercially successful carbon hub, which hasn't really been done yet. And we think Wyoming is a great example given our Project Watch project. And so part of that is the community outreach, and we specifically proposed that we would do a tribal training program. So yeah, that funding is, it has to be worked out. We just got announced the award this week. It has to be worked out what budget that will be. But yeah, I think I think everyone's pretty excited about what this could look like. We want to keep expectations low. There's a lot of work to do. As you heard, as I said, from President Spoonhunter, there's a lot of local priorities and information that needs to be taken into consideration. We want to work with the community to really meet expectations and so that we can have a successful project. I think everyone in Wyoming benefits from having a skilled labor force. I think the reservation, both tribes can benefit by building capacity, by having some of their youth and even adults who need employment learn new skills in this new industry, and those skills can be transferable to other parts of the reservation that's focused on resource development.
Great. Representative Penn.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Mr. Friesen, you said that you were awarded funds from the Department of Energy. How much?
The grant for this is $2.5 million.
Any follow-up, Representative? Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chairman. So my question is, and I certainly appreciate the efforts, and I guess this would be considered a workforce development, and you develop workforce where you need workforce. So as First Nations also actually have platforms, you call yourself a platform of First Nations, platforms for actually taking on this CCUS activities, Carbon Hub activities also, or are they doing it through partnerships with Denberry's and some of the other?
That's very good. That's very good. That's a very good question.
President Friesen.
Oh,
through the chair.
Chair. Yes, Chair. That's a very good question. Our hope is that we do co-development with tribes, but at a very minimum, as I said, a very minimum, there would be jobs available. But when people start in these jobs, they build capacity, and with that capacity, hopefully entrepreneurship and ability to develop their own projects. But we have a project with one of our investors in Canada, Frog Lake First Nations. They are 51% owner of a project in Alberta that we are developing, a blue ammonia project. So we would love to welcome the same sort of interaction in Wyoming.
Follow up, Senator Barlow.
So thank you, Madam Chairman. So this obviously is getting a lot of interest, carbon capture, utilization and storage. So some of that's utilization, the blue ammonia, et cetera. Some of it is pure storage. And as folks some of you served on this in the legislature in 2013, 14, 15, Wyoming designated pore space as a property right that is consistent with the surface owner. It can be split afterwards, but it's a surface owner. So my queries are based on there's 3 million plus acres of tribal lands here. I don't know what the geology is, because the geology matters for carbon sequestration. But that, if you're developing a workforce, there must be a resource here also that has value, not besides the people, which are probably the most important resource, but there's also a business model that has to work with that as well. So that's what my curiosity was. So thank you for your response. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Do you have any follow up with that, President Friesen?
Yeah, actually, so I think the Wind River is excluded from the Class 6 primacy that Wyoming got, and been working with the DOE to see if there's interest in tribes like Wind River to get primacy. There is $30 million of EPA funding available to help build capacity, which I've been trying to push on. There are issues around salinity in wells around Wind River. This is an issue that, even though they're uneconomic, there's still a waiver requirement. This is something that we should work through with the Department of Energy and with the tribes of Wind River. There are the utilization. There is enhanced oil recovery opportunity. There's ability to take out more hydrocarbons in a more sustainable way. And as I mentioned before, I think the heavy industries can relocate into areas like this if they have the sequestration availability, which I think they should. It's unfortunate that Wind River has been excluded from some of the development as far as the understanding of the subsurface around the pipeline corridor, things that we should be addressing to make sure that the Wind River communities know what opportunities they do have, and then that could provide incentives for external partners to come in and co-develop. Because with co-development, you need to match local expertise or local will with foreign expertise and outside capacity and funding. These are big projects that require a lot of capital, and that capital has to come from the market. So creating the environment where the market sees these as de-risks or where there's political support behind them would help to building up that capacity.
Thank you, President Friesen. Any further questions or comments? All right. Thank you so much for traveling, being here with us today, and enjoy your travels and exploration of Fremont County.
Thank you very much.